know any brothers that would vote for this racist landlord?
You got Snoop, 50, Lil Wayne, Nas, Rick Ross, Cameron, Iron Mike Tyson, the Champ, Don King, Ray Lewis, Herschel Walker, Dennis Rodman, the Worm.
I'm not that.
They like him too.
I'm talking about real black people.
Uh-huh.
You know, our
Poor black people. Yeah.
Welcome to the Michele Tafoya podcast.
Siaka Massoquoi is such a fun dude, man. We've had him on before to talk about January 6th and the fact that he was at the Capitol on January 6th and his life was turned into kind of a living hell since then. He'll explain some of that here as we have this conversation today. Plus, he's in a new film. It's not brand new. It's called Vindicating Trump. You can go to vindicatingtrump.com to see the trailer and learn more about it. You can also follow Siaka on social media. But his life has changed now for the better. He's got some updates for us. There's a great scene in the film we're going to show you that is very funny and really spot on. This is a guy who went from the left to the right, and I think pretty much the far left to the right. He's just a joy to talk to. Siaka Massoquoi is our guest next. You know I love the good folks at besthotgrill.com. And with football being back, so is tailgating. Whether it's Friday Night Lights, Saturday College Pro Sundays, Solaire Tailgate, infrared grills, well, they set up super fast. They heat up super quickly. I mean, it takes 3 minutes to get to searing hot temperatures. These are just like the big backyard Solaires. A Solaire grill will make you the master of the tailgate with the juiciest, most flavorful food in the parking lot. This thing is amazing, folks. And the fast grilling times, well, they leave you more time to enjoy the pregame festivities. They also cool down really fast, so you're not going to miss a minute of the game. The USA-made Solaire Anywhere, Everywhere, and All About infrared grills are portable. They're perfect for any grilling on the go. I'm talking about a picnic, camping, RVs, boating, but especially tailgating. Amaze your tailgating friends with the great food you grill with your Solaire infrared grill. Learn more about these fantastic grills. I've got one. I love it. I swear by it. And Solaire's Try Before You Buy demo rental program at besthotgrill.com. That's besthotgrill.com, besthotgrill.com. Hey, Siaka, welcome back. And I understand you have some breaking news for us. This is so exciting, my J6 brother. What happened?
Well, really surprising. So the weekend of the hurricane that's going on, I actually had a speaking engagement, a Salt and Light conference down in Charlotte, North Carolina. And my wife and myself and baby Xavier is riding with us. We get to the airport like we usually do and been going through this process for 3 years with security. And I go up to the front desk because we can't check in beforehand. So I don't even try to do that anymore. Go to the front, I hand our IDs, and I'm just like, yeah, we got to go through extra security. And I start putting my bag on there, and the person's behind her. She, I hear the printing come out. I'm like, they're like, have a good flight. And apparently,
so
I'm
explain
off
to people
list.
again why you were on the flight list for people who don't know, or the no flight, or whatever it is. You were
the terror list, the extra security quad S's terror list that the Department of Justice had me on. It was because I was there on January 6th. I was on that list before I was even raided by the FBI in June of 21 and before I was even arrested 3 years later, November 30th of 2023. So I have been technically on this list without any guilt or any charges for about 3 years. It is terrible because it consists of extra security to verify who you are at the front desk. Then you go to check-in, you go to do the security at TSA, and you get taken aside, have to do a full pat-down search. They check your stuff. They check your stuff that you go to check-in. Then when I get to the gate, there's about 6 to 8 agents there to pat me down again. So before I get on the flight, I get patted. I was getting pat down twice, and that was for the last 3 years.
Yeah, for three straight years, and this is all for being present at the Capitol on January 6th. You didn't touch anyone.
Nope.
You didn't.
I didn't touch anything.
You didn't touch anything.
anything.
You were there. again, we've talked to you about this before, and we had Nick Searcy on with his film about the whole day and the aftermath. And it just seems you say the term J6 and people go, oh, and yet I just don't think people fully understand how many people have been unjustly targeted by this Justice Department for just being there.
Yeah. There are people, and a Revolver article came out early in the process. What the Justice Department was able to do was they were able to ping everyone's cell phone who stepped foot across the grounds of the Capitol, which they had deemed that day. Now we find out was all restricted area. So there are people, and I know them. We've J6 kind of created its own community. There are people who were just standing on the grass, got nowhere near the Capitol, who got their homes raided. One woman had to be under house arrest for 9 months while she was pregnant. Mark Ibrahim, a U.S. agent who was there, not anywhere near the Capitol itself. He's fighting for his livelihood right now, in court, because they wanted to give him 20-some years because he was there. Because he's an agent, he's able to carry a gun, or because he carried a gun, and that's processed. Anyone who was there, and they can make an example out of, they try their best to do it, and it's just really sad to see.
I wish more people had the gumption to understand, to accept, to really look into what all of you have been going through, and really figure out that this is such overreach by the Department of Justice that it's frightening. And now, though, you're part of a film that Dinesh D'Souza has put out, and there are a lot of people who think Dinesh may stretch the truth in his films or his books. I've had Dinesh on this show. He's had me on his show. What is it that makes this film unique?
Well, in the film with Dinesh, thank you for asking me, Vindicating Trump, what makes this different, and it's something that I've been trying to push for, especially on the conservative, Republican, and free thinker side, is it brings in humor. And it brings in a narrative element, a scripted element that you don't usually see in the conservative Republican. They tend to be a bunch of documentaries, Jordan Peterson, Dennis Prager, even Dinesh. It's like, man, he's hard hitting even Nick Searcy, as we just mentioned, which is important. Not saying It's not, but storytelling. I think if we miss that avenue to tell narrative stories like Jesus did in his parables, because majority of the population that couldn't read. I would argue the same thing is true here, where a majority of our population, that we don't really read. We don't sit and read books. We read headlines and sharp, fast, kind of delivery system. So if we're not engaging in the culture in that way to try to get our message across, we can miss it. And in this movie, I play a character that kind of goes through a maturation of being a part of the, BLM all the way to maybe Trump isn't that bad from, what I'm hearing. And throughout that time as an actor, I wanted to make him very like the middle ground people that I walk into, or just most of the people that I've ever known. It's like you're living life. You're actually looking more for the fun out of life and the funny than I got to find the enemy. So if we can start bringing those things into our film, into our media, I think we'll be able to capture the hearts of those on the middle and even a lot of those on the left, because they're looking for good entertainment and good content. So this movie does, I have to say, it does it all. It caters to all.
Funny is funny. You know what is a huge problem for people these days? Sleeping. And I know I have that same issue. My schedule, responsibilities, my recent shoulder surgery. I do have problems sleeping, but I found something to help me sleep better. And it's not a drug. It's not a prescription. It's a cream. Okay, stay with me. I put this cream on at bedtime. It's simple. I was really skeptical, but the first time I tried it, I was amazed that it really works and I sleep great. Okay, so the company is Sleep Creme, and they use all natural CBD combined with the finest essential oils. The stuff smells really good. I just rub it on before turning in for the evening. Bottoms of my feet, inside of my forearms. You want to use those sort of delicate skin areas. And within minutes, I am relaxed. My body is chill. and I'm able to sleep. You can find them at sleepcreme.com, and that's CREME. Just try Sleep Cream for a couple nights. See if it works for you as well as it does for me. If you don't experience better sleep, Sleep Cream will refund your purchase, guaranteed. You don't have to return anything. Go to sleepcreme.com. That's sleepcreme.com with CREME. That's how you spell cream.com. And for the next few weeks, use the code GAMEDAY at checkout to save $20 off your first order. That's GAMEDAY, all one term, at checkout, $20 savings. Are you ready for your best sleep ever? Sleep, CREME.com, sleepcream.com. You know, funny is funny. And people want to be funny. They want to see humor again. They want to be allowed to tell jokes about themselves and about all the other stereotypes in our culture. It just seems like we're really missing that. Let's set up this clip for us that we're going to see. It's you're in some sort of an office setting, but go ahead and set it up. What are we about to see?
So, okay, right now we're going to see, this has been going on for a while. This is Trump initially coming out in 2016. And the idea is, who's going to vote for a rich white billionaire? Everyone hates him because then the media had turned from him being the golden child because of The Apprentice now into Trump's an evil racist that didn't pay one black person 50 years ago about something he did. So this whole thing is set up that this the woman who's running the organization, the white woman, is turning to me trying to say no black people like Trump, right? She just knows, and my character kind of educates her on that premise.
All right, let's roll the clip.
You know any brothers that would vote for this racist landlord?
You got Snoop, 50, Lil Wayne, Nas, Rick Ross, Cameron, Iron Mike Tyson, the champ, Don King, Ray Lewis, Herschel Walker, Dennis Rodman, the worm. He's like a bullshit. They like him too.
I'm talking about real black people. You know, our
poor black people. Yeah.
Vindicating Trump. Only in theaters.
I just love how she says, our black people. And this is what the left does all the time. They slice and dice. So, they like to paint black voters as a monolithic group.
Yes.
But then clearly you explain it's not, and she's discounting it. It's, and by the way, you did a great job in that scene. I just love it.
Thank you. It's, to be honest with you, and that has been the experience. I was telling this story last night. I was at the dog park back in Los Angeles in 2016 and walked my dog, and this lady, a white Jewish lady from New York, and she's like, well, you vote for Hillary? I was like, nah, I can't, man. She got too many bodies on her resume. And then she starts going, well, Donald Trump's a racist, and you don't know what racism is like. I remember seeing it. It was terrible. You don't know. And I sat there and I looked at her going, I've been a black man in this country my entire life. I didn't just become one a few months ago for you to, can you teach me about race in this country? I've been, for good or bad, when it comes down to the resume of what makes the victim. I have a single mother home. I got a football scholarship. I went to jail for alcohol. I've been in and out of jail. I've been on welfare. I've been on the stuff they say that I'm supposed to be on in order to just vote Democrat. But the difference was in finding Christ, or Christ finding me, then I'm able to get married, able to buy my own home, able to have my firstborn son, able to work in a career that I love. So just because you have been in those circumstances doesn't mean then you just ideologically vote a certain way. And that's what she was trying to get at.
Right.
And that scene speaks to it. And it speaks to, again, my experience and many others, but we did it in fun. So people can release that pressure of being like, you can't just tell me what to do, or don't you open mouth to
right.
I don't have to take it as personal because I know you're just crazy about it. I can actually laugh at you now. So I'm hoping that's what we're able to do.
I think so. It's a fun scene. I am fascinated. Look, I know Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, isn't the real world necessarily.
Yeah.
But the number of posts I see on all kinds of social media of black men saying, you want me to vote for Kamala? Why? Right. And it's really been interesting to me. And I think that there is clearly a gender gap here between the two candidates, between Trump and Kamala. Although I'm a woman who does not plan to vote for her. And Yeah, we don't share values. Has nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman of color. We don't share values. So how would you explain this shift of a lot of Black men? It seems to me across all age groups, sort of saying enough already.
Well, and I always like to say the Black community was the litmus test to use all these social attacks that we're seeing culturally. The Black community was the first one. And if we look in the Black community, see who really has ran that community for the last 30, 40 years. It's been women and gay men. And so what's kind of happening now with Trump has exuded a masculinity that we've needed in our country for a while now. And so these men in these communities, especially you got Chicago, Baltimore, New York, Oakland, I can go on, they have the sanctuary city status. So now these Black men who want to provide for, if not themselves, their family, are seeing that not only do their voice really not matter unless they're repeating the lines from the left consistently, but they're also seeing now their space, their being truly doesn't matter because they're being pushed out for non-citizens, for illegals. So these men are looking around and going, wait a second, I was following the queen, I was holding her up, and now we're being sold out for, Juan, who's coming in and is going to do it for $50 to, $100 less than me and undercut our wages. So that, in a sense, pitting poor people against poor people.
Yeah.
But it's really coming from the top. And I think a lot of these men, I've seen reports out of Chicago where these gangbangers are like, it's us versus them now. So they created this chaos.
Yeah, and that is nuts, and it's scary, and it doesn't bode well for Chicago and its safety. And if you've got now gangs and other ruthless gangs, it makes it so unsafe. Go ahead.
And I was talking to a friend of mine I used to wrestle with in high school and play football. He's a Chicago PD, and he was told he told me out in 2020 the mayor told him to stand down from the rioters. And even now when he's talking about what's been going on is that these gangbangers, he's like the gangs that are in here from Venezuela, they are the professional league compared to the gangbangers that have been in Chicago since, 2010 when Rahm Emanuel shut down those schools and got that whole place turned into a war zone. So now they're dealing with even more ruthless gangs because they've imported them in. So and I like to call it affectionately, the left is a death cult, and they keep pushing death. And now we're seeing it where they're forcing cultures together. And while everyone is the same, we miss the fact that cultures are different.
Yes.
And cultures, that's where we miss this alignment. And they try to get us into, well, you don't like brown people? It's like, no, I don't like criminality. Like, let's get that over. And so these Black men are seeing their future is truly at risk because I'm fortunate enough I have a kid. If my kid gets harmed or hurt or anything like that, that's my future right there. Mm-hmm. A lot of these men, either they have kids and they're seeing around them is falling apart, or they want to have a family and they see that falling apart by following what they've been following. And I don't say it's femininity to an extent, but it's toxic feminism that has what's been followed. And now Trump offers masculinism to that American masculinism that we need to get back to in order to strengthen our communities, protect our families, protect our children, protect what is truly right under God here in our country. These men are waking up.
It really is interesting. And that's one side of it that you've explained. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the increasing cost of health insurance? Have you had enough of not having control over your healthcare dollars? Introducing ShareRight, healthcare done the right way. At ShareRight, you're not just a number, you're part of a caring community. And forget about paying excessive premiums. With ShareRight, you stand to save 30 to 50% compared to health insurance. Think about what you could do with all those savings. My goodness, but it's more than just savings. ShareRight ensures that you have access to the care you deserve precisely when you need it, from routine checkups to unexpected emergencies. With ShareRight, your health care is their top priority. So empower yourself today by taking control of your healthcare costs. Visit shareright.org/Tafoya, Tafoya, to learn more and see how much you can save. Visit shareright.org/Tafoya. That's shareright.org/Tafoya for healthcare done the right way. it is fascinating to me to see, because you can have two black men on a panel on television talk to you in completely different ways. Right. One will say Kamala cares about the working man and, yada, yada. And the other one will say, well, no, she doesn't. And these two men who supposedly are supposed to have a lot in common because of the color of their skin prove that that is not always the common denominator, that,
Exactly.
that their values are different, that the way they see the world is different. So how do you anticipate the black vote going in November?
I've been saying this to friends, and I've been just, anyone that would ask me, like, for example, I think it's probably going to be somewhere around 25 to 30% actually go towards Trump. And we got to remember, since the civil rights operation, they've been blacks have been voting that 90% for the Democratic Party. So to have even from what Trump did in 2020 to 2016, those are big shifts when it comes down to, you're taking almost 10 points at a time, about right. 5.5 to 10, and you're seeing that shift. So I'm saying 25 to 30, but what I've been also been saying is that I believe he's going to win New York. That's something that I saw after he went to that, he was over in, I think it was the Bronx, wasn't he?
He went to the bodega.
The bodega, and it's like, this guy, I think he's going to win New York, and it's going to give people permission to not have to keep following in line. And that's one of the things that humor brings, seeing stories by people saying things differently, because people can have it in their heart. They can be thinking about it in their mind, but we're fearful creatures by nature. And if everything else around you is saying that thought, that idea is bad, you're going to hold it back inside. But when Trump showed us, but even showing up in New York, everyone lost their mind. Now gives them permission to stand up tall and go, okay, no, this is what I'm going to do. You have your guys like you talk about Nick Searcy, even Zachary Levi, Shazam just came out recently. That's going to give other actors going, okay, you know what? I will. I know Trump's going to Chicago soon. That's going to blow that thing up, and I don't mean violently, but I mean with
right.
a bunch of people. He's a rock star, and I believe we need to get him any and everywhere possible.
I couldn't agree with that more. I think going into the belly of the beast is so flippin' important, and right. I don't know why more candidates won't do it. And I think I've been told there's some fear factor, there's anxiety about being able to sort of cross that cultural line and be able to speak to one another. But he is kind of one of these people that just says what he wants to say. And it's very relatable,
and he's like Vivek. And then Vivek, I should say that Vivek is like him, because Vivek showed that you can go in there. But what the Republicans have missed, and I do, being in the party, I've seen it. Some of it's on purpose because it's cheaper money just to stay with your own or with what you know. But it's a losing strategy not to talk to people. And when you miss out on the fact that me and a white man have more genetically in common than me and a black woman. And so when you're going to a man, right, you're a candidate and you're going to a group of men, you're like, oh, how can I talk to this group of black men? Let me see. Think about what you want in life, man, and relate to that to them. It's like, that's it. It doesn't have to take you don't have to watch a certain amount of hours of basketball, listen to a certain amount of hours of rap and hip hop in order to connect with black men. You need to talk to them about the same thing men around the world want. They want to take care of their family. They want to be able to protect their family, and they want to be able to provide for the future. So that's universal. So start talking to people like they are people, and worry about the culture stuff after the fact. But I think Trump is showing, again, he's leading the way and showing that people like Vivek they've been following suit, and having that conversation is going to shift a lot in this country moving forward. I'm really excited about the direction.
Well, I love your excitement, and we're just going to have to wait and see. From my, where I'm sitting here today, I don't understand how this race is close. I really don't, because Trump is essentially running against a bag of donuts. It's like so I honestly don't understand how this race is close. They keep telling us it is. I guess we're going to find out.
I'll tell you, remember, this, you worked in TV, you worked for Disney, for Christ's sake. These people, they need to keep up a certain story for a reason. People don't show up behind losers. So if they start saying some real numbers and they start really talking about like what's going on with Kamala, the Democrats' ballot down would lose, just like they were afraid of with Joe. That's why they got rid of him. They didn't want the ballot down. So I would say that the fact that it's not against her, what we're watching is Trump versus the machine. That's what we're watching. We're not watching Trump versus Kamala. We're watching Trump versus a machine, a global machine that needs to stop him. But clues that we're winning is when they say it's tie, which really means he's up. When they come in panicked about, I can't believe this is happening, and someone would still vote for a felon. It's like something's not working on your end. So it's telling you they're so scared that they have to keep like screaming to the top of the mountain that Trump's a bad guy, even though he was almost killed twice by people who support what you say. Like I think people don't be complacent because we feel good about the win, meaning we need to show up. But let's be hopeful because I see it. I think a lot of us see that the change is coming for the better. And as Patrick Bev David says, the future looks bright. The future looks bright.
Siaka, it's great to see you. Congratulations on everything that's going your direction right now, which seems to be just about everything. And can't wait to talk to you again.
Yes, thank you, Michelle. Thank you for having me on as always.
The film is Vindicating Trump. Dinesh D'Souza's behind it. Siaka's in it. And he's tremendous. It's a really interesting look. And so go ahead. You can go to vindicatingtrump.com and look at the trailer. And there are also ways to get the CD and so on and so forth. So check it out, vindicatingtrump.com. Siaka Massoquoi, thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thanks again to Siaka Massoquoi. The film is Vindicating Trump. You can go to vindicatingtrump.com. This guy has truly found sort of a new life for himself. His history is so interesting. Not only is he an actor and a producer, but he's also a writer and the vice chair of the Los Angeles GOP, even though he's recently left Los Angeles. But we'll see what they can get done in LA. I would say Siaka Massoquoi is one of those guys who is brave and does good. So like him, be brave. Don't feel like you have to hide your values, whatever they are. And do good. Be kind to one person today that you normally wouldn't be. And we'll see you next time.